Hey guys, Desolate Magic here. Now that we've had the mystery revealed behind the mystery packs that everybody knew was just going to be Eternal Masters in a pack for Chaos Draft, there are only two worthwhile things to pay attention to with it. One is just how butthurt are people going to get over the disappointment, and two, these test cards like this one, Barry's Land. So when they're designing a set, or when they just have an idea for a card and they don't know which set is going in yet, either way, they put like a hand-drawn artwork usually on a card, and then, I should say, they put it on a piece of paper and then they like tape it to a card and then play with it. Or I think these days they use a Sharpie and they put it on pre-made card blanks. Either way, they use those for paper, one-at-a-time playtesting with limited staff. And you wonder why certain cards get past playtesting. With such an efficient system. So these mystery boosters come with a not legal for play in any format despite having a black border instead of a silver one, test cards. So some of these are going to be really interesting because according to Wizards of the Coast, they claim that these are real test cards, which means that at some point they actually drew them up and considered putting them in the game. And so we're going to take a look at, as far as I know, most of them, if not all of them. I think a full list will be revealed Monday, but whatever. We have quite a few to look at. So first up, we've got Barry's Land, and that's a little stick figure of Barry, apparently, and he just says Domain +1, which domain is like forest, mountain, plains. That's the domain. So you're probably thinking to yourself, so the subtype of the land supertype. Oh, no, it's called domain, because... So anyway, this was going to be a new basic land card of type cloud, or pardon me, of domain cloud. And it would just be a basic land that taps for colorless. And obviously, this was later made into a Wastes card for the Eldrazi. Waste was basically the new domain. They didn't go with Cloud. Otherwise, yeah, this did eventually make it into the game exactly as they put it. Next up, we've got Chronobot, a 2-cost artifact creature construct that is a 2/2, and it says when, card name, because that would be filled in later, enters the battlefield, switch upkeep steps with target opponent for as long as it remains on the battlefield. So you take your upkeep on their turn, and they take their upkeep on your turn. See, this is your typical Mark Rosewater bullshit right here. Oh, guys, this is going to be so crazy. We've never done this before. This is going to be so wild. People are going to be like, whoa, that's so crazy, which is like his entire design philosophy, despite there being no point to this, it being confusing, hard to actually do. Do any of those ring a bell? Does that sound familiar to anybody? All those descriptions sound like some stupid bullshit he put together in the past multiple times and will just refuse to learn from? So thankfully somebody shut this crap down. This would just be tedious, annoying, your triggers go off at the wrong time, and it's just, no, just don't print this. Next up, we got a blue card that would be Control Win Condition, which is something you don't usually see in Magic the Gathering in the last couple of years. Looks like this was a double blue +4, a little bit of a glare there. And it's a creature whale, and this spell can't be countered. It has Shroud, which is kind of like hexproof. Look it up if you're interested. And this card's power and toughness are each equal to the number of turns you've taken this game. So this is the same exact problem as Storm. At a functional level, it just doesn't work. If on turn 1 you set down a spin down D20 and set it to 1, and somebody says, what is that? And you say a turn timer, they know that you have this in your deck. Except that there's no rule about that, so you could bluff it, be running a completely different blue deck, start tracking turns for absolutely no reason, and there's no rule saying you can't count the number of turns. What if you forgot to count? Then how are you going to determine what this is? What if one person says, no, it's been 11, and you say, no, it's been 12? This would only work on digital. I'm very glad they didn't print this. This would be a disaster. Next up, we've got Domesticated Mammoth. Now, this one's interesting. It's a 2-cost green snow creature, so that's even wilder, Mammoth. And this card enters the battlefield with a token copy of Pacifism attached to it. But it's a 5/4. So if you have a way to move or blow up Pacifism, which is a white 2-cost aura that says you cannot attack or block, I believe. If you can blow that up, you've got a 5/4. The problem is you're burning more mana and more cards from your hand to just get a 5/4. So it doesn't really cost 2, which means this is useless. Nobody would ever play it. But the concept is interesting. Next up, Enroll in the Coalition. It's a 4-cost white enchantment. You are a flag bearer. Oh boy. While choosing targets as part of casting a spell or activating an ability, your opponent must choose at least one flag bearer if able. So whenever any of your opponents target anything, they have to include you because you're a flag bearer if they're able to. So if the spell only has one target and they want to target themselves, they can't. They have to target you, which means they basically can't cast the spell. It's almost more important for abilities. The problem is, Mind Rot. Well, of course they're targeting you. Like, most spells target the opponent. So this is just really weak, really weird, and it's something you have to remember. It does absolutely nothing on ETB. I don't like it. Next up, we've got Frontier Explorer, a 2-1 for 1 cat scout. I don't know what they have with making cats too powerful, but, well, here's another one. And if you pay 3 and tap it, until end of turn, you may play 1 basic plains card from outside the game. Which, in the current rules, I believe means you have to have a basic plains card in your sideboard. You know, that really important thing that you need to, like, beat opponents and stop yourself from losing again. Yeah, welcome to 2019 where it's just storage for a bunch of fetchable crap. But anyway, I assume when they designed this, that wasn't how the rule worked, so you could just have a pile of plains and that's that. So, I mean, cool, but this is a green ability. Why is this a white card? So, and then it's a 2-1 on top of it with this powerful of an ability. I just don't like anything about this. This is, however, really similar to a card that goes and gets any number of plains out of your deck, puts them into exile, and then you can play them once per turn, but only play them, so if you haven't already played a land. So next up, we've got Generated Horizons. Interesting artwork there. We've got a double green 4-cost enchantment, and at the beginning of your upkeep, create a forest land token. That's overpowered as balls. I don't remember any cards that specifically say destroy target token. So you're really just getting a spontaneous land, so you're ramping while also not removing lands from your deck. So you're screwing over yourself while also being too powerful for your opponent to stop. You're basically ruining the game for everybody. Yeah, I can see why they didn't print this. Next up, Guerrilla Tactics, spelled like the animal, not like the phrase guerrilla tactics, and it's a 2-cost green instant, and it says create a 2/2 green gorilla creature token when a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard the name of this card, create 2 gorilla creature tokens. So I think they printed this card virtually identically. I don't think it was called this, but I think it was like a madness thing, and then I think there's actually also an even older one. So this, as far as I know, basically did become a card. I'm sure the color, cost, and name were different, though. Next up, Gunk Slug. It's a 2/3 for 3 in black. It's a creature slug, and when whatever they name this eventually enters the battlefield, create 3 Gunk tokens, token cards, and shuffle them into target opponent's library. Problem is, you can't shuffle tokens into an opponent's library. So they'd have to change that rule, but they say Gunk is a colorless sorcery card with no mana cost that has cycling 4. That is hilarious. So you just start stuffing gunk into your opponent's library, and then they might pull it. And if they do, they have to pay 4 to get it out of the way, like clear up the gunk, and then draw something real. Otherwise, they just drew dead. The card does literally nothing. Although it is a 0-cost sorcery, I mean, you can do some degenerate stuff with that, even if it has literally no effect. So this would be kind of slow, trolly, stupid. You'd almost have to get like 30 of them in your opponent's deck to even make a dent in what their strategy is. So I don't know about it, but like the idea of it is kind of funny and interesting. Sleeves though, like sleeving would be a problem. Rigged shuffling would be a problem. It wouldn't work. But it's kind of fun to imagine. So next up, we've got High Troller, which is like High Roller, but a troll. And he's Santa for some reason. So it's a 4-cost red creature troll shaman, and he's a 4/1. And all targeted spells and abilities cost 2 less and have their targets chosen randomly. So all players, all permanents this applies to. That is messed up. Unless this is like a holiday promo card, I can't believe they were actually thinking about this. There's no practical use for this. There's no advantage. It's just dumb. So all that skill and decision making that makes the game interesting, no, we're going to flip it all back to luck. What a stupid card. So next up, we've got Impatient Iguana. It's a 2-cost red 2/1 lizard wizard. Love that. And if, whatever they name this, is in your opening hand and you're not the starting player, you may reveal it. If you do, you become the starting player and it has haste. Oh, they should have printed this. In fact, you know what they should do? Print any card, absolutely any card with the phrase, if you are not the starting player, and just have it be like a ley line or something. Because everybody knows the faster the format gets, the more likely you are to win if you go first, which means a bigger penalty for going second. We need equalizers that are conditional. They give you zero benefit if you're not in that disadvantaged position, but then if you are, you get to even things out a little bit, which the whole thing is like, well, they don't draw a card and you do during your first turn. That's supposed to equalize it, but a lot of math was done a long time ago by some people who are smart, and it turns out, no, that doesn't equalize it in most games. If you go first, you're more likely to win, and they have not done enough to compensate for that, so they need to. So far, this is by far my favorite card. Next up, we got Lazier Goblin. It's a 2/1 for 1 with Motivate. So you pay 4, including 1 red, and this creature can't attack or block unless you have paid its Motivate cost once. Motivate only as a sorcery. When this card enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. See, they wouldn't phrase it like that. They would use like a counter, like a motivation counter, a charge counter, energy counter. Well, probably not energy now. Retroactively remembering states instead of seeing them in front of you with a counter. It's just dumb. It's bad card design. So this must have been from a while ago. But yeah, the whole, this can't attack or block alone, and this needs this condition, and this doesn't do anything unless you do this. I don't like cards like that. They're unreliable and they're dumb. I'd rather just play something I can actually count on. Next up, one of the craziest cards so far, Mana Abundance. So it's a 3-cost, strangely red card, a World Enchantment. I don't know what that is, if they were going for like a plane chase card. I don't know. I don't even know what zone this would be in. Wish I had an explanation. And it says, if a player would add mana, instead all players add that mana to their mana pools. So you use a mana ability, you tap a land for mana, all your opponents get that exact, I assume, color of mana as well in their mana pool. And then I assume it empties at that phase as well. So why would anybody play this? So, okay, Mana Burn. But this would be horribly overpowered with Mana Burn, which is anytime you don't spend mana and it gets removed from your pool at the end of a phase, you take 1 damage per point of mana. So if you tap for 10 and your opponent has no way to spend any of that mana, they take 10 damage. It would be utterly ridiculous. So I assume this was designed afterwards, but it just doesn't seem like a playable spell because, like I said, there's no benefit to you. So a World Enchantment would probably be something like Plane Chase, where it just comes out and now this is the effect. So yeah, this was probably an initial Plane Chase card, and it's a shame it didn't make it because it would actually make the game really hilarious. Next up, we got Mirrored Lotus, a 0-cost artifact, and it has Reflect 0. As this enters the battlefield, each opponent may pay 0. When they do, they create a token copy of this, except it lacks this ability. And then you can tap it and exile this card, add 3 mana of any 1 color. So it's a Lotus that everybody else in the game guaranteed gets 1 of. This would have been a terrible idea. One or both of the players would be pissed the second that this comes into play. And my guess would be both. Next up, one of the most famous cards in the set, One with Death. Instant, 1 black, you lose the game. Not target player loses the game so that it can be redirected. You lose the game. Yeah, you could have a card out like Platinum Angel that says you can't lose the game, but then why run this? Why play it? I don't get it. I don't know what the point of this would be. Good thing they didn't print it. Next up, we've got a crazy card. It would have been a Duck Planeswalker, 7-cost, blue-white. I mean, we need more animal planeswalkers. I think animals can't be planeswalkers because you have to have like a sense of self or something and the ability to use mana, which actually I think animals do have in the multiverse. Actually, I'm not sure. I'm actually curious about that now. But yeah, I mean, this could be an above average intelligence duck, like way above average anyway. It's a planeswalker and then it's just duck. And I have a feeling they just put that in there because it was funny. By the way, I think that this would be an actual human or humanoid, but this card enters the battlefield with a number of loyalty counters on it equal to your life total. Hello. And if it would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. You can't be attacked. So if you drop this when you have 15 life, this has 15 loyalty, and then you can't be attacked, only this planeswalker can be attacked. Then, +1, you gain 4 life and -4 draw a card. Holy hell would this be annoying, but for 7? It probably would actually be a somewhat fair card. Now, if you had a way to stop them from attacking your planeswalker, you basically won the game, but I'd say the same about Platinum Angel, and there's still a way to get rid of that. So I don't know what to think about this. Would this be good or would this be bad? I don't know. I kind of hate planeswalkers and that they're a thing at all, so I'm going to lean towards no. Also, if you have really, really high health, then you really aren't going to lose the game. But if you have really, really low health and you need something to stop from getting you attacked, that ain't going to do it. Well, not for long at least. Oh, they can still kill you with things that don't involve combat. Direct damage to your life total. Anyway, next up we've got Plane Merge Elf. It's a 5-cost elf warrior 3/3 with Landship. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you may reveal it. If you do, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. Which, yeah, that would get kind of old kind of quick. Then we got Kinfall. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it shares a creature type with this card, so elf, obviously, maybe warrior, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Ooh. There are cards unbelievably similar to this, but a little bit more powerful, so I guess I'd say this is appropriate, but unreliable, vulnerable at 3/3 for 5, kind of late. Only 1 in 3 cards in the average deck is a land anyway, so I don't know. The +1 spread ability, though, hard to say. I think the fact that they made it like an actual ability and called it Kinfall, I think that would be a mistake if they made like 20, 30, 40 cards have that, and that would be the big mechanic for the set. Because you could just flicker stuff, you could dump in tokens, I mean, this would be nuts. So, yeah, don't print this, Wizards. Next up, we got Pure Steel Angel for 8, and it says looks sharp. Fantastic. Haha. Artifact creature Angel, flying indestructible, and when it enters the battlefield, exile all artifacts that aren't colorless. Okay. And then when this deals combat damage to a player, which it's a 4/4 flying indestructible, then you get an emblem with, if you would lose the game, instead your life total becomes 20, shuffle your graveyard into your library, you lose all poison counters, and you lose this emblem. Oh! I mean, I won't be the first one to throw too much shade at this card because my modern deck literally has Isochron Scepter, and in the sideboard, if I know their deck is better than mine, I'm just going to sideboard in the white card that says you can't lose the game and attach it to Isochron Scepter. And I have won many, many, many games because they can't destroy the Scepter. But this is like having that or like 1 Platinum Angel every single turn. I mean, this is, and it's if you would lose the game, then you instead reset your life total to 20 and ditch the emblem, but you get an emblem every time you hit them. So they'd have to damage you for 20, again, get you all the way down, and then, well, now do the next one, and the next one, and the next one. This is insane. This would be so stupidly overpowered, they should just call it Forfeit Angel, because you'd have to just tell your opponent, I've got 7 of these sitting here, just, can you forfeit? And then they say no while resuming play at a reasonable speed, and that would not be slow playing, and they would force a draw, which would kick somebody out of a tournament effectively, because they get 1 point instead of 3 points for the round. That would be controversial, so even being a 4/4, and then the fact that it's indestructible, this would probably be the worst card out of everything I've seen so far. It would be so unfriendly, so stupid, so oppressive. They better never print something like this. The fact that they were even considering a card like this is unbelievable. So next up we got Recyclabird, a 1-cost 1/1 flying bird, and when it dies, put a flying counter on target creature you control. So I assume they mean give it flying? I mean, you could just say flying counters grant flying, but it's a bit odd, I gotta say. I mean, they have cards kind of like this, but I'm sure this would be alright if they actually did it. Next up, Sliv Mizzet, Hivemind, a legendary creature, Dragon Sliver. So I guess they're going to have slivers like clone Niv Mizzet or something, or like an infested thing like StarCraft 1, I don't know. He'd cost 6 though, and that's typical Niv Mizzet cost right there. 4/4, and slivers you control have flying, and whenever you draw a card, this creature deals 1 damage to any target, and tap, draw a card. Well, that would just end the game 3 seconds after it came out, so that's stupid. I don't know what the lore they were going for is. I don't know what set this was targeted at, but I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate slivers. I hate Niv Mizzet. I hate this card. I hate 1 damage triggers. I hate the entirety of the abomination that is this card. And then, of course, we've got the card that everybody was talking about, the Slivdrazi Monstrosity, a Sliver Eldrazi hybrid, I guess. So it's 5 colors plus 1, and it would be a legendary creature, Sliver Eldrazi. Yeah, just right off with that. And then Eldrazi you control are slivers in addition to their other types. Oh, did I mention that this is an 8/8 for 6? And then slivers you control have Devoid and Annihilator 1. So this was printed as an idea, or drawn as an idea, or whatever, after planning BFZ and OGW. Which I assume means that unless this was intended for Modern Horizons, which then we'd have to have a story of how the hell did this happen, they clearly intended to put slivers into one of the standard sets. They should not do that. They're basically the most hated tribal of all time, so no, if you want to sell packs and not drive people away, don't bring back the least popular and most hated of all time. Oh, and by the way, Annihilator is one of the most hated mechanics of all time, so wonderful. And then if you pay 3, you can create a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Sliver creature token. It has sacrifice this creature, add 1 colorless. Wow, this would have been a dumpster fire, and they were actually considering printing it. Next up, Smelt Herd Saw, which I assume would be like a double card like they're showing in the frame behind it, except a triple, which means the text would require a microscope to read. This is probably made by the same dumbass who invented Megamorph. Anyway, it's a 1-cost red instant, and you can destroy target artifact, but then it has Herd, which I assume is like another option of the card, which is a blue spell, cost 6, sorcery, create 3 2/2 green elk, oh god, creature tokens, and then Saw, it looks like it's 1 plus black, I don't know, I can't really read it, and it's a sorcery, destroy target creature, its controller creates 2/1/2 red half creature tokens? So you saw their creature in half. What would this even go in, a 5-color commander deck? This is just stupid. And triple face cards? Yeah, no, don't. Next up, Spellmorph Raise Dead, which is a 1-cost black instant. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand with Spellmorph Black. You may cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3 and cast it anytime for its Spellmorph cost. So in other words, it's morph, but for spells instead of creatures, which they should have done. I was so sick of morphing spells. Non-creature spells, I should say, because obviously creatures are spells, and then not being able to cast them. Hell, they should have ditched Spell Morph and just made it so you could cast morphed instants and sorceries. So next up, a very interesting card would be a land called Taiga Stadium, and whenever this enters the battlefield, it enters tapped unless you already control a white, blue, or black permanent. And remember, lands don't have color identities, so mid to late game this would be wonderful. Early game, when you need mana the most, it would come in tapped. Also, did you notice it doesn't match? It taps for 1 red or 1 green, but it checks for a white, blue, or black permanent. What the hell is the point of this? So that takes it from like maybe a $4 card down to like a 25-cent, 5-color commander bulk nonsense. Next up, you heard of Time Walk, but have you heard of Time Sidewalk? A 8-cost with quad blue sorcery. Take an extra turn after this one. If this card is in your opening hand, you may exile it. If you do, create 4 Time Walk token cards and shuffle them into your deck. Well, what do you think the token card would be? Just you can do this for free, or you have to pay 8, but you have them, or it's reduced, like you only have to pay 6? I mean, you get 4 of them, so that's like a lot. I don't know, this is definitely interesting, and I think we'll never see the token, so your guess is as good as mine what it actually does. At the end of the day, extra turns are inherently broken, just like free casting and other stuff. I don't care how fair it looks and how slow it looks, somebody will do something stupid with it, so nope, gets a big old thumbs down from me. Next up, interesting idea, but it's a bad card, Transcantation. It's a 2-cost instant, and target instant or sorcery spell becomes a copy of Lightning Bolt. Its controller may choose new targets for it. So if somebody somehow doesn't know what Lightning Bolt is, okay, this would be confusing. Especially if you're referencing it, but it wasn't in standard, and they probably wouldn't put Lightning Bolt in standard. But yeah, if you target your own spell, you wasted your mana, because you could have just, instead of burning 2 cards and 2 sets of mana, just cast a better spell. But if you were to target your opponent's instant or sorcery, they get to choose the new target for Lightning Bolt. They're taking out one of your creatures, one of your planeswalkers, or your life total. What an absolutely idiotic, unplayable card. Next up, we got Truth or Dare, a double blue, triple cost sorcery. And this just looks like that vote crap all over again. If you've never seen the vote cards, I hate those things. But a target opponent chooses one. Truth, that player plays with their hand revealed for the rest of the game. Or Dare, mill all but the bottom 10 cards of that player's library. If this was a real card, and anybody played it in a game against me, I would punch them. I would actually say, how could you put something this dickish and rude into your deck? I hope you drop dead, and then I would absolutely smack them in the face. So I can see why they wouldn't print this card. Next up, a unicycle. Oh boy, an equipment vehicle. Because people didn't have enough of a problem figuring out how vehicles worked, we're now making it equipment. Oh my gosh. So 3-1, first strike haste. Equipped creature has first strike and haste. Equip 1, crew 1. So I guess it's simpler than I'm thinking. You can either equip it and the creature gets it, or you can crew it, but they both cost 1. Why would you not equip it? Why would you ever crew it? I guess if you didn't want the crewing creature to go into combat, but this is dumb. Next up, we got Vazal the Compleat. I don't know that word. And it's 6 cost, triple green, legendary artifact creature Phyrexian. Oh, wonderful. Why not? Mega legendary. Your deck can only have 1 copy of this card. Can you feel this video slowly chipping away at your sanity? Because I can. It's a good idea, but if you don't know the story behind Megamorph, look it up. Apparently now, naming anything Mega, either jokingly or seriously, will be reported to HR as an act of aggression or microaggression or just outright discrimination. Apparently. What does making fun of the idiot who named it Megamorph have anything to do with racism or sexism? Don't know. But she's still going to report you to HR because she's a paranoid, butthurt, petty bitch. So I guess don't look up the story because that's the story. Anyway, yeah, Mega Legendary. Why don't they just call it like, well, Epic was taken, Heroic was taken, Highlander is kind of already taken. Maybe Elite or I don't know, but they probably should implement this. Which, I mean, I just want this in the form of restricting the card instead of banning it. But then again, most of the stuff that's been banned, do I really want them to run 1? No, I want them to run none. Screw the card. Should have been banned. So this is interesting. So it's a 7/7 Vigilance Trample, and it has the activated abilities of all other permanents on the battlefield. So basically Nicol Bolas, the Phyrexian edition. I don't like this card. I don't like the idea of it, but having 1 out of 60, good luck. But this is one where the second that they put in Universal Fetch, it's over. It's too powerful. So next up, Whammy Burn, a 1-cost red instant with a lot of words on it. It says, shuffle your whammy deck. What the hell? Then reveal cards from the top of your whammy deck until you reveal an island or choose to stop. Then if no islands were revealed this way, card name, so this one, deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of cards revealed this way. A whammy deck consists of plains, islands, swamps, mountains, and forests. So like equal numbers of each, or you would just put in 1 island and then you're basically playing Charbelcher. I'm not even going to think about this hard. It's dumb. Don't do it. There you go. Simple. Next up, Zim or Zyme or who knows. That's probably the name of a gender at this point. Anyway, Mesmeric Lord. He's double black, single blue, 1 generic legendary creature vampire wizard with flying and death touch, 3/4, hello. And when he enters the battlefield, target opponent chooses an order for the cards in their hand, then reveals them 1 by 1 until you say stop. That player then discards the most recently revealed card. That's a fun, gimmicky little waste of time. It's still luck heavy, skill light. I don't like it. And next up, we've got Bear with Sets Mechanic. I love it. It's a 2-cost creature bear with vigilance, and it has aggressive. During your turn, there is an additional combat phase after the first, and only creatures with aggressive may attack during it. So, unbelievably overcomplicated double strike. I don't think that would be a very good mechanic. I hope they don't print that. Next up, Biting Remark. It's a 4-cost 3/3. It's a blue elemental, and it has Scrycast, 0. If you see this card while scrying, you may reveal it and cast it by paying 0. Now see, that would be cool. It sounds cool, except it's a blue mechanic, and if they're running Scry, it's probably to go get more control or pull off some bullshit combo or lock down the game with a prison deck. Or to go search for another card that draws more cards so that you can card advantage them into oblivion. So yeah, 2018, 2019, this would have been a disaster. 10 years ago, this probably would have been a really good fair card. It just is how it is. I like these bonus little leyline kind of things, though. Be kind of interesting. Next up, Lantern of Undersight. It's a 1-cost artifact, and you draw cards from the bottom of your library instead of the top. What is the point of that other than cheating? because it's really, really easy to stack cards there, and very few cards put cards there on purpose. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's why it didn't get printed. Next up, a surprisingly accurate Tibalt the Chaotic. It's a 3-cost Planeswalker with 4 loyalty. That's always a recipe for disaster. And let's see, +1, cast a copy of one of the following cards chosen at random. Ignorant Bliss, Crack the Earth, Blazing Volley. I don't know what any of those do. So that's a problem. And then -3, cast a copy of one of the following chosen at random. Seething something, Dance with Devils, or Flame Break. I, once again, have no idea what any of those spells do. Oh, if it's Seething Song, I know what that does. 106, ain't bad. And then -6, cast a copy of one of the following chosen at random. I don't know, something Eruption, Insurrection, or something. Thanks for holding it at such a nice angle. Next up, we've got Wasteland, which is kind of similar to the card Wasteland. It's a land. You can bring it in untapped. It can tap for colorless, and if you tap it and sack it, destroy target non-basic land. That land's controller creates a Wasteland token. So that's interesting. You guys know this would have been made after Waste, which were the name of the colorless basic lands in OGW and BFZ. And, I mean, I don't like land destruction, but it's kind of like Field of Ruin, where, yeah, you probably got rid of something with either an activated ability or something with color fixing, but then they get to go get one basic land out of their deck and drop it in. This is kind of similar, except a little bit harsher because it only taps for colorless, which might not be what they need. So, interesting card, but it effectively costs 0, and then to get rid of one of their lands, you have to get rid of one of your lands, this one, but then you immediately give them one right back in the form of a waste token. So you'd actually be harming yourself. Kind of dumb. Next up, Celestine Cave Witch, which I think that's actually a very specific reference to something, but it's a 2/3 for 4, human warlock, and when it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 black something creature tokens, and then whenever it attacks, you may... Ooh, I don't know what the rest of that says. Something... when you do... Something defending play. Oh, curse defending player. I don't know what this says. It's too blurry. Oh well. Some with curses. Neat. Cool. I'm sure it's lovely. Next up, Domesticated Watercourse. I don't know what that is. It's a horse and an aqueduct. I'm confused. It's a land, and it enters the battlefield tapped. It can tap for 2 colors, and if you pay both colors until end of turn, this card becomes an equipment artifact with equip 2 whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Boy, they're getting really creative with the type mixing. I mean, this might have been an interesting idea. It's a lot more fair than just a man land. The problem is it's until end of turn, so you gotta pay 2, then you have to pay 2 to equip it, so 4, and then all you get is an on-hit ability. But then, during your opponent's turn, it stops being an artifact. But, I don't know, I don't think these would have been heavily played. Next up, a card that would have been an absolute disaster. It's How to Keep an Izzet Mage Busy. Hybrid 1 sorcery, return card name to its owner's hand. So I should have filled it in. Whenever they say card name, they mean this card, whatever they end up naming it. So return this card to its owner's hand. I assume they mean from the stack, so if you have 5 mana, you can cast it, let it resolve, cast it again, let it resolve, cast it again, and you just get your storm count up. And you would be able to perfect it down to the last mana because it only costs 1 and it's hybrid. The fact that they thought that anything would be okay with this. This would have been banned in the first week after they released it if this was part of the whole Ravnica triple block thing. Next up, Priority Avenger. It's a 4-cost 3/4 white bird wizard, and it has flying, and players can't cast instant spells unless a spell or ability is on the stack. So responses only. But it only applies to instant spells, so you just can't cast an instant spell unless it's in response to something else that's happening. That's confusing, annoying, and affects you too, so screw that. Next up, man, there are a lot of these. Siege Elemental. It's a 6-cost 6/6 elemental with trample. Untapped creatures can't block, and tapped creatures can block. Once again, I don't want to think too hard about this. It just seems like this would be stupid, disruptive, and annoying. Next up, very high effort artwork here. We got Goldmine. It's a land, and if you tap it for colorless only, but it has legacy. Tap it, mark 1 of this card's unmarked nodes, add 1 mana of any color. Do they actually expect you to like write on this? It would obviously be counters. It'd be like charge counters or something. And I'm pretty sure they have a land that does exactly this. It's like gemstone something, I thought. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't play formats at all, but I know I've seen it. I know it exists. Well, you get 5 uses out of it, and then it's useless, which, I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people would probably run this. Next up, Graveyard Dig. It's a 1+ hybrid sorcery. Return up to 2 target black or green creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. You may cast the spell for 2+2 hybrid. If you do, ignore the bracketed text, which was black or green. Why would they extend it to that? Why would they suddenly use brackets as conditions? Why would they refer to the brackets? I don't know. All seems confusing and stupid. They might have cleaned it up and made it friendlier if this went to print. But yeah, returning 2 creatures for 2, that's way too powerful. Next up, the greatest artwork out of all these, Seek Bolas's Counsel. Oh my gosh. So triple cost, Bolas colors, sorcery. Oh, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to read this. Okay, let me zoom way in. Choose one at random. Cool. Oh, this is going to be hard to read. So you get an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep, pay 1 of each color mana. If you don't, you lose the game. Or say 1 of each Bolas color. So that would be bad. Number 2, each player discards their hand. All right. So we got bad and bad. Then Planeswalk to Pools of Becoming? What? Oh, so this is a Plane Chase card. Which I think the Pools of Becoming are the meditation realm, aren't they? Then for each opponent, exile lands something library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast these cards without paying their mana costs. Oh my. Then something, destroy all creatures and non-Bolas planeswalkers. Cool. And then you get an emblem with, I have no idea. Something about sideboard. I think you can cast something cards from your sideboard. So probably like all. So this is one giant gamble, which means it's stupid. Next up, we've got Start or Fire. Start and Fire, or Start, who knows, because we don't know how this is going to split Fire. The first option is white, and you create 2 1/1 white warrior creature tokens with vigilance. But if you choose Fire, it's 2 cost red. Instant, it deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Yeah, that's your typical Boros card. That would actually be pretty appropriate. Next up, Visitor from Planet Q, a 2-cost blue 0/4. That is an instant creature. Not a creature with flash, an instant creature. So all creature cards you own with flash are instants in addition to their other types. Okay, and then whenever you cast another spell with 2 or more card types, you may draw a card, then discard a card. That's so meta, that's so fourth wall, that's like referring to the card's print itself. I don't like it. Next up, Problematic Volcano, triple cost world enchantment, so basically Plane Chase card, I would assume, one of the planes. When this enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to any target. Then starting with you, each player assigns their creatures to the left or right of the volcano. Creatures enter the battlefield to the left or right of the volcano, and then creatures can't block creatures on the other side of the volcano. That is so dumb. Splitting the targets up like it's some kind of shitty 2-headed giant, that's just confusing and stupid. Plus, who gets to target this if it's a Plane Chase card? Or do you cast world enchantments? Well, then what was the point of the last one that doesn't benefit anybody? Whatever, this is idiotic and I hate it. Next up, Cyclopean Titan. It's a quad black +4 zombie giant. When it dies, 2 target lands become swamps, and then exile this card. And if you pay 3 and tap it, tap target creature, then return this card to its owner's hand. What is the point of any of this? And it's an 8/4. What a just stupid waste of a card. And unfortunately, that's the one we're ending on. So pretty wild stuff, wild ideas. It's a lot of interesting like what ifs, and with one dumber or smarter decision by Rosewater or somebody he works with, we could have had these in standard. Most of them are tedious, annoying, stupid, unbalanced, and I hate most of them, so yay, can't wait to collect them all. I don't think of these as like, whoa, what a wild idea, cool, it's a peek behind the curtain. I think of this as, wow, Wizards almost ruined the game with this as well. Hopefully you got the same impression. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.